Hello, good evening. My name is Pankaj Desai. I hope all of you are able to listen to us at this point of time. Am I audible? नितिन भाई सुन रहे हैं?
Pankaj ji, very much audible.
Okay, then I will. Okay, then I will. Okay. Once again, good evening to all of you. On behalf of SourcePro Infotech Private Limited, my name is Pankaj Desai, and I extend a warm welcome to each of you. Few of you we have interacted in past, and few of us have not interacted so far. Just to give a small and brief introduction about myself, my name is, as I said, Pankaj Desai. I am formally designated as Vice President in this company, and primary role of mine is to make sure that the implementation happens successfully at the customer end. So post-sale service is usually taken care of by me and my team. I have been associated with SourcePro for 24 years. I have been joined today in the presentation. Who is going to help me is my colleague who is currently meaning he is based at Pune, and he is also at Pune now. We are using this tool GoToWebinar. Personally, for me, I'm using it for the first time, and we are trying to conduct such a session over this technology. So Sunil is going to help me navigate the product. The objective of carrying out today's session and is to have the first of its kind of its session of giving you detailed overview of the modules and the functions that we have as a part of our ERP system. And then we will continue this in next few days to come, say about 8 to 10 sessions, or if required we can take a little even more also. Our desire is to keep the sessions, try to contain the session between 1 hour and maybe 1 hour 10-15 minutes. As a normal practice, we would we would have the microphones for all participants in mute mode during the conversation, but at the end of the conversation we can definitely have. So I would request you to make notes of whatever queries you have, and the reason for doing so is that we would like to share this video of the webinar to each of you later. So we don't want the interruptions to be there in the webinar. That is why this is what I have in mind, and this is what we have planned. So as I said, we are also in this participants. We have few of our colleagues from the sales team who have joined us as a part of the team, and I'm thankful to all of you for having spared your time in understanding the product from this way. At the end of the session, whenever we have question answer, I would like to have genuinely over the session or even later your genuine feedback on what do we do to make it more effective for you, to make it overall it should be it should help you to sell well in the customer segment markets that you have. With this, I will just give us a little more background, and that is that for the product that we are demonstrating, the product is IMMS New Horizon, and for this product, the title that we have given for today's topic is on the CRM side, from lead to order acknowledgement. What I was trying to say is that earlier, last week, my senior and our in the company and our founding director and managing director in the company, Mr. Unmesh Mehta, has conducted 2 sessions, wherein the objective of the session was to give overview of this product. Where is that session lasted for almost, first session lasted for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. The second session lasted for about 2 hours. If some of you could, I know that some of you had attended this, and maybe if some of you have missed it, even that recording we can make available to you. So couple of things that was most of the things, overview of the product was covered there, but since it was an overview, this we are doing it mainly from the flow of the transactions that we have in the system. So that is with that objective we are doing this exercise, and I hope that it will be ultimately turn out to be in mutual benefit for all of us. With this, I will ask Sunil to use the keyboard, and as you can see on the screen, I hope the screen is also viewable to all of you. And the screen that you can see here is the screen wherein it's a login screen where, as you can see, there is a login username and password. Sunil, please enter the username and password. Yeah. So the basic login is the username and password, a unique credential for each user. Most of you would be aware, but we would still like to clarify during this session that the concept with which, the philosophy with which we market this product is on a concurrent user license basis. And when I say concurrent user license basis, installation is not an issue. You all can understand that concurrently how many people are connected to the database server, that's something that is considered as a concurrent users. Okay, on the other hand, though it was covered in the overview session, since we are doing first of such session and some of you may not have attended that, I will just add to a few more things, like the screen that is in front of you is the screen of selecting a company and a location. The architecture of the product is that even if the organization which selects our product have multi-company environment and they all are on a single server, then this license that I talk to you is a floating license. So the license can float across companies and across sites. So that is the philosophy with which we are working. When we say multiple companies, that is everyone, it's clear to you. When we say multiple sites, it is a site of manufacturing site, or maybe a sales office, or maybe a storage location of a customer warehouse, I would say, which may not be a part of the factory setup, and that all those things are considered as site. So site have again 2 properties which also I would like to say. The site could be within the same city and within the same state, or it could be across the country with in different states also. And to control all this, we have the GST registration number linked to the site. So one company may have multiple sites, and we have customer examples. We have case studies where people have this kind of situation, that a customer may have its 2 locations, say within within Maharashtra or within Gujarat, or one in Maharashtra and one in Gujarat. So this is something that we support outright from the system. So that is why, and the username that we have tried to enter earlier is something that is covered under the admin module. We'll try to have one session of the admin module, ERP administration, as a part of this. So I'm not going into more details, but I will just briefly say that the user is again a security and the access control mechanism that the organization have chosen. So I, as my name, can have an access to multiple companies and multiple sites, and maybe different kind of uh, access rights may have been given to me. That is possible across companies. So that is something which is set up as a part of the ERP admin module, which we will not touch upon today, but just for all of us to know, we are right now selecting a company and a site to start our session. So this is the home page of the IMMS New Horizon that you will be seeing that, and there are notifications, pending notifications, on which this topic was widely covered by my senior colleague Mr. Umesh Mehta, so I'm not getting into those details, otherwise we will run short of time for our agenda. So I would wish Sunil, आप सीधा CRM में चले जाओ. So we'll go to the objective straight away. As you can see on your screens, this is the CRM module that we have, and what we are trying to cover is the first, on the first left uh, column, what you see is various masters that we have provided as a part of the system, and that need to be done. I will touch upon straight away on those required masters as the part of the transactions. So I will not like to waste time into explaining the masters. Instead, I would like to focus more on the transactions, and then we can, if definitely if there is some query, we can discuss on the masters. Sunil, please go to the lead entry. So this is the screen that is in front of you, is the leads that have been entered in the system. As you can see, this normally opens, any function would open in a form like this, and then you can any on select, for it selecting a transaction, you can go to the search, and then you can type in few characters and you will be able to do that. So these are the inquiries or the leads which have been entered in the system. Wherever you are seeing a on the leftmost column where action is written, where you see it blank, that means that there is no further action on this inquiry possible. So it means that the inquiry would have been converted into a quotation. Wherever you see a pencil kind of a situation, I mean, that means that it is an edit button, and prior to edit you can delete. So you can see next is the delete, that also is possible to see. And on the top right you can see, and where there is written as lead entry and the list, normally each function opens in a list mode, and add new will allow you to create the new transaction. So I will just open, yeah, just open it once. So this will load the transaction, and what we have done is a kind of accordion panel. You can expand all or collapse all panels into the page of the transaction. I think let us go back, and Sunil, let us have one inquiry in the edit mode. Okay, so this is the inquiry which is open in front of you in an edit mode. Uh, as you can see, you have to select the customer, You have to select the salesperson associated with the customer. From the customer master, the region will be picked up. Wherever on the screen you are seeing a red asterisk, please note that that field is a mandatory field in the transaction flow. So this is across all the functions, all the modules. This is the common thing that you will find. So right now what you are seeing is there is a customer, there is a salesperson associated and sales region. This association is defined in customer master also, and it may be changed. Association may be changed specific to a transaction. We support two kinds of functionalities in the system, uh, projects and non-projects. So that is why what you see is this lead is towards the non-project or a project lead. So this is something that is classified at this stage, and based on the selection, obviously the flow of the transaction moves ahead. We are right now going ahead with the non-project functionality. So the lead, as you can see, there is a document control mechanism. The document control mechanism again is a part of the ERP admin module, so I will not take more details here, but what you can interpret here is that this is the document number 10 of the lead in 1920 and generated keeping the site in mind, the Ahmedabad manufacturing unit, and the date of the lead is 31st March. The source of the lead, you have an option to Sunil batao. Edit માં જઈને બતાવો. So lead reference is something that you can put on your own. Similarly, go to lead details and just, yeah, just show the drop down there. Incidentally, I missed to formally introduce Sunil, my colleague Sunil. Some of you know him. Sunil Babar is based out of Pune, but he has been with us at SourcePro for 20 years. His role is team leader on the implementation side. I'm sorry, which I did not mention in the beginning. So these are some of the alternatives that you can select of which are the types of the methods through which you can receive the leads, and these are user configurable. That means the customer configurable, whoever has the access to the ERP administrator module through which it can be done. Okay, please go ahead. Agad Jasmine. Okay. If the lead is received, yeah, you can, if you want to go to the next logical page group, then you can press the next, or you can press the plus. One of the two is optional. If that lead or inquiry is received with a specific tender reference, then you can put the tender number, you can put the EMD required date. Scroll up, please. ऊपर ले जाओ. ऊपर आ खसेड़ी लो. Yeah. Tender number, EMD required date, EMD end date, EMD amount. Okay, what you see something on the next as a follow-up that we will touch upon when we have the quotation done. I think that will give us more clarity then. Then let's proceed further. Agaja Sunil. So now, so this is something that is important. Inquiry you have received for which item that you can enter here in this grid. You can enter more than one items here for which you would have received the inquiry. What you see here is sales item code and sales item name. That is something if you have specific or generic codes through which you are creating an inquiry, that you can select from the item from the master. If customer has given any specific item code and item description the way he wants this item to be addressed when you communicate with him, then that is also possible to be specified. If you're the customer, our customer who is into the business has any model specific ways of recognizing a product, then he can give the model number. That is all part of, as I said, sales related master. Currency in which we are expected to quote. This price has been automatically filled by from the system from the master. Quantity that he is expecting as a part of the inquiry, that you can enter here. Application, this is something which is an important and a good field that you may like to understand. Customer wants to use our product for what type of application? That is something that you can codify and use. The objective of this will be then data is preserved, so that something that our customer is not uh, dealing into now, and he feels that the inquiries are received for this, then in future if he wants to have his business plan accordingly, then he can know. Or otherwise, some products may be suitable for some kind of an application and some products may not be suitable for some kind of application. That also can be understood if this is given, right? PDO is the acronym used for possible date of order. If the information is available at the time of receiving the lead or an inquiry, then the same can be done, right? And we have the distinction in our item master, which is carried forward into specific for sales attribute into sales item or reference master, as to whether this item is classified under company's selling list as a product or a spare. So this is the distinction that has to be done. If you wish to add a new item, you can just press the add new there and you can add the new item. So here, this is how, as the cursor blinks, you can add the new item here and relevant fields can be created here, right? This is the last thing on this screen, and this panel states this you will find in many of the transaction scenes, screens. This is the first one that we are seeing, so I'm explaining. Almost all transaction, I will, why I'm saying almost all is, if there is something that we have missed, I would like to be cautious. That is why I'm saying almost all transactions we have facility of file attachment. These file attachments, our customer may have saved it on the shared drive on the network or a file server, and from there, if they just select and connect, I mean attach it from here, then it can be viewed by the person who has the access rights here. So that is the facility that we have provided in the system. So this is something that is on the lead entry that I wanted to talk about. We'll move to the next. Quotation. This is again on the screen. What you see, I will just explain that first. These are in the list view that all the quotations which have been prepared so far are visible to you, and what we have a facility is to make the selection based on either if you know the item or if you know the customer, you don't have to remember the code. And just I'll come to there, I'll come there, Sunil. So what you can see on your screen on the left first column is, as I explained in the lead entry time, the first blank meaning that the action on this was already taken and something next can be done. So this is action is available as an edit mode. So edit is available. So when you say edit is available, and what you could see something different here in this screen is a yellow mark button, yellow red kind of a bullet. So that yellow red bullet, bullet, round bullet indicates that these transactions are pending for authorization. So now the logical question would be that if, then why the edit is allowed for say row number 1 or row number 2? That is because in quotation, once the quotation is authorized, then if you go and press the edit mode, system will consider as the next revision, and it stores the history of the revisions of the changes that you have done from version 0 to version 1 to version 2. That is why we have, and once you do the change in an authorized, previously authorized transaction, then depending upon the rules that have been set in the system, it will have to be again authorized for the next revision number. So that is the difference. Now Sunil, the you can move the cursor to the filter by. Here all the list items are shown. If you wish to filter them for only those who are authorized, if you would like to see them, then you can select only the authorized ones, or a senior person wants only the pending for authorization to be checked, and whenever he wants to get into an action of authorization, he can just select. And these are all the unauthorized quotations which are available on the screen as a list. There are, as you can see on the right corner below, it is into multiple pages, and the paging will be done accordingly. We can also, as I said, no, that's fine, Sunil. Yeah. I would wish that you go to the search command. Yeah, and again, these are the common features, but since we are doing this exercise in detail for the first time, I am explaining to you. Suppose we do not know the name, we do not know the code of the customer, and we only know a name. So we can say right here couple of characters and we can press the search. Just write anything that you feel comfortable, Sunil. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. So all the quotations which are given to Adeshwar Enterprise so far are listed here by selecting this. This is the feature that we have provided in the system at all locations. Yeah, we can go to, we can select anyone, Sunil, and edit. कोई पर सिलेक्ट કરીને edit कर. Now, as you may observe here, we have from the lead entry onwards, we have these two distinct classifications. You can raise a quotation, you can generate a quotation with inquiry reference, or you can raise a quotation or create a quotation without inquiry reference. Sometimes for a regular customer, though there is an inquiry, but inquiry management may be done by some sales back office person, but a regular customer may call the salesperson directly and he tells him or her that I need this per thing and it is very urgent. So straight away आप मेरे को offer भेजो. So उस case में we allow the quotations may be prepared without inquiry reference also, right? So there are with inquiry reference and without inquiry reference. Obviously, as you can very well understand, whatever was previously entered, if it is with reference, then the data will be fetched and it can be made available for the next transaction. Otherwise, you have to enter some of the data for the first time if you are doing it without inquiry reference. Okay. So as you can see here on the screen, this was already authorized earlier. So it says the quotation revision number as 0. But if we do some changes here, right now what you can see here is there is an edit button here. If I edit and make some changes, then see the information over here that the system has said selected quotation is authorized. So revision number 1 is generated, right? So I hope you all will be able to appreciate this, that this is a feature that we have provided, that which is very common for the sales cycle, that you keep on revising the quotation, and what was done previously, that history is not lost, it is preserved with a version number and revision number in the system. So this is something that I wanted to show to you as the first thing. Then we will go further below for each of the fields on the quotation screen. So like the inquiry number, there is a unique quotation number which gets generated by the system. Normally, we recommend all the document numbers to be auto and to be initialized every year. But unless somebody has a unique requirement, then we can work upon that, right? So quotation number, quotation date, validity. If there is a this is done right now without inquiry, this is done with inquiry reference. So any other reference that we would like to mention, we can still mention, right? And what type of transaction this is going to be. We as a system, we support the if it gets converted into sales, whether it will be a regular sales transaction or whether it will be a sale in transit transaction or a high C sales transaction is something that we can define. That is why we have quotation type. I'll take it up further. Yeah, okay. If customer has demanded this item for any specific project, then you have an option to as a text, you can keep that information also available here. Now please mark your attention to this where I'm moving the cursor. Is any agent associated with this quotation? That is something that is a possibility or facility that we have provided in the system, that if your transaction has to happen on the sales side with an agent, then you can associate an agent, and there is an agents related master that you can define in the master, that for this item, when I sell through this agent, he is entitled to how much percentage or value commission. So this is something that has to be defined then at the time of quotation or later at the time of order. So this is something that you can define here. Since we have touched upon this, I will clarify that if any agent is associated with the transaction, which obviously not at the quotation level, but if it gets converted at the order stage, then based on the transaction completion at the invoice stage, depending upon the master data entered in the relationship master of item and agent, the commission credit note gets generated automatically. automatically, meaning the data is available and you can use that function to create a credit note. I would also like to clarify that the agent, wherever is associated with any sales transaction, agent has to be defined as creditor, as a service provider, as a creditor in the vendor master. So that is the logic with which we work. Okay, the address of the customer is available to you from the master. We also have a concept of go down further. Contact details can be fetched. You can have more than one contact information for a customer, and you can select on a transaction to transaction basis which contact number you are supposed to deal with when you are dealing with this particular transaction. For the purpose of our trial, we have more or less tried to select a simple product called computer. So what you can see here is the sales item as computer on your screen. The objective of is that the entire cycle that we would like to show you in such sessions starting from today, we try to give you a simple product which can be understood by each and everyone. So that is the objective with which we have selected this product. Now you can scroll on your right and show our viewers, Sunil, that feature that we have of configurable grid. You can, this whatever grid you are seeing here is configurable. As you can see the buttons here, I can remove some of the fields which I don't want as a part of my transaction. I suppose at this stage I am not aware of what is the customer's item serial number. I am not aware of customer's item code. I know that for which application he is asking. I don't have something like model number. As you can see dynamically, my grid column on the grid changes. I don't have a policy of discount, so I just take them out, right? So this is something that you can configure. Now as you go down, as you can see, some of these fields are non-editable. They are mandatory as a part of the system. If some fields cannot be changed, then they are marked like that. But the fields which you are in your user's control can be selected the way the user wants, and it will get saved. Okay, now further to this, there is also a facility. This is something that I am explaining to you is, again, as I have been saying during this session, these are certain features which are across the system, not necessarily for this module and this transaction. So when we come to the next transaction or next module, so this would, wherever you see this kind of a facility, you have to understand and assume that yes, facility has been given for me to configure my columns in the grid. One more thing that we are also providing in this grid is for you to change the column, alter the columns. Suppose I don't want the application to be in the first, I can put it later. I can put the application name also here, right? This is how it is configurable, and this will be a user's choice to keep it the way he wants. And this is conveniently manageable, as you can see on your screen. Now, as we are going to the price, if I can change the price here, this the price that you see is fetched right now from the sales item reference master. Suppose I want to change it here and make it to say 18,000. So if I change this, I can make it to 18,000. Previously it was 20,000, right? Associated text structure is also available to you. So text structure, I am trying to sell to a customer within the state. So I have central sales tax of 9% and state GST of 9%. Suppose if the freight is differently to be charged on the customer, then you can pension. And these such type of transactions which are marked as V means value. So for value based transactions where the amount may vary from transaction to transaction, user has an option to enter the transaction at a value at this stage, and that will be a transaction specific value, and that will have its impact the way text structure. What you see here is a structure defined. We'll touch upon that in the appropriate modules. But as you can see, suppose I just press here and I say that my freight is going to be 500 rupees if I have to deliver you this, then please observe that since freight is chargeable on GST, the value here has changed. It was originally on 18,000, now it has been calculated on 18,500. That is the feature of the text rate structure master, which we can cover in its due course of time whenever we have that cycle. So whatever terms and conditions are usually associated as a part of our company policy, that can be defined in the master, and the same can be made available, and then depending upon the situation on customer to customer basis, you can select and remove or add something new. So this is something that these are the terms and conditions. These are, mind you, that these terms and conditions or other charges are the text that are for the information purpose. These are not considered as something which is calculated directly in the value part. For value part, we have all these fields which are here: the price, the discount if any, the taxation part. That is all part of the data that we store here, right? Then we have this facility for other details, where you, how would you like the quotation to be sent? So if you would like to, whenever you would like to send the quotation, you would like to put something in the subject. To whom should it go? If there are multiple contact persons, from there you can select. Kind attention, you can put the designation. The contact number of the person has come from the master. Email, if it was defined, it would have come. Who is sending that information from the company? Suppose I am dealing with it right now, but I am doing this on the instruction of my senior, then I can put his name and designation, and if there is any specific date by which it requires to be done. Plus, if this is a budgetary quotation or a regular quotation, that can be specified, and your internal notes, if any, that would you like to mark the CC or any notes, if they're relevant to that, you can put them. This will not go to the customer. These are something that will be available to you. If you wish to send it, then you can. You have one more facility called internal communication and quotation notes. This will be truly, and you can define them and you can store them in a serialized manner. Again, as I said, attachment is available. Suppose if customer has sent us a drawing or something, that you can attach so that it may be easier for you to refer to, or for your records. Or when the quotation was reached, if there was some Excel calculation done and we would like to keep it for us to review at a later date, then that attachment can also be done. So this is something that is on the quotation side, which is that we can define and we can edit before authorization or even after authorization. So this is something on the quotation side that I wanted to talk about. So we have covered so far two topics. I'm not sure whether we are going too slow, but anyway, even if we are going slow, uh, uh, we will see what how do we schedule our uh, session accordingly. Okay, Sunil, please go to the follow-up entry. Follow. Okay, this feature that we have is, I would like to explain. We have this facility to define follow-ups and enter follow-ups by the sales team in the system. Now, the important thing is the basis of the follow-up. You can do it for any customer and you can do it for 5 different type of phases or bases. Follow-up base, Maja. You can just have the follow-up done after the inquiry. Maybe if the customer business is such that once you receive an inquiry, maybe you have to involve your sales and maybe the technical team in understanding the requirement. So that kind of follow-up can be entered based on the inquiry. So if your transaction in the system is just at inquiry level, we have the follow-up can be done at the inquiry stage. Suppose inquiry stage there was no follow-up needed, or even if it was required to be done, it was done, and later it got converted into a quotation. So you can have the quotation based, but once the quotation is done, you can have the follow-up based on the quotation. Further to that, once you have received the order and then you have given the order acknowledgement, then during the course of execution of the sales order, whatever follow-up has to be done for any other information seeking or all that can be done, which is we call it wave based. Later, once the goods were ready and they were dispatched and the invoice was made, even the invoice, post invoice also the follow-up can be entered in the system. Other than these 4 stages, if you have any other type of follow-up, we also allow you to select the other and then you can make the follow-up entry. Now these are the stages or the phases for which you would like the salesperson to have the inquiry in the follow-up done in the system. The follow-up data will be made available to you as then when the next sequential transaction is done. Give me a minute. Sorry. Yeah. So as I said, different type of follow-ups can be entered. This follow-up is also tracked with proper record. You can, right now what we are showing you is a quotation based follow-up that we are doing. We are selecting a particular quotation for a given customer, which was already given to him. And as we go further, this is important, which is now on your screen. You can enter the date on which the follow-up was done. You can enter the expected response date. You can enter the time that was spent on the follow-up, which person did the follow-up. Okay, Sunil, તું 31-3 નાખી દે ને. The time which was spent can be entered. The person who did the follow-up has to be entered. Who did the follow-up, right? एक कलाक लाके okay, something tricky. Who did the follow-up can be done. The method through which the follow-up was done can be, yeah, scroll. Yeah, method of the follow-up can be again defined as per the company policy, and user can select from these, whether it was through email, through phone, through visit, or whatever, right? That can be done further. Yeah, take it ahead. Then what was the remark? What was the outcome of the follow-up that he can write there further? आगे जा. So if the next follow-up has to be done by my senior, then I can suggest that the next follow-up has to be done by this person. And what is the agenda? Maybe if it's a technical discussion, then I can write that the agenda is going to be the technical discussion next time. The date on which the next follow-up has to be done can be entered. Based on that, the information is available for further action. Again, at the time of follow-up, if there was any attachment which we need to do, then we can do this. So this is something that we call a follow-up entry. As I said, if the follow-up is recorded, then the same is made available in the follow-up entry stage in a historical way. What all previous follow-ups were done, that will be viewed by the user, whoever, when he goes into the system, so that he can know that what was the previous action done on this, so that he need not ask anyone. If this facility is used, they can get all the information from there only. Okay, Sunil. Just leave it on the menu. We have some other facilities which we are not going into the detail, is copy quotation. You can, if you've given some quotation earlier and you would like to have the copy of the same quotation to the same customer or to the different customer, this is a facility. No, that's fine. Right now we need not get into that detail. Just remain in the menu. So quotation print is a separate menu. Just go to quotation print. Yeah, just select any customer. Yeah, the date on which the quotation was given. Prepared rather, I'm sorry. Yeah. Now this is something that I want to all of you to pay attention to, is that whatever quotations were there, you can print them by selecting the print command right over here, as you can see on the screen as I'm moving the cursor, or you can straight away email it by using the envelope icon on the screen. Yeah, please do that. We have not talked about today, but as I said on the previous session of overview, it was covered that you can have the user specific email configuration, you can have the body and the signature as the part of the system configuration. Now this is something that whoever is sending for each signature and the information will be there. If for that customer, if email ID was already entered in the master, then from there it will come automatically. You can add any CC or BCC there. The content, if it is standard, then it can come there, or otherwise the subject, as you can see, is the system selected subject, generated subject, which has happened. And once you do that and you press the send button below, we are not doing it right now, but if you send, it will simply go to the customer through the email. Our email have been configured with the is being configured with the SMTP gateway. Okay, so this is the facility that we have. We can also print, just show one sample print. Print is something for prints, as maybe few of you are aware. Uh, we have a library of certain templates which we offer during the implementation stage, and we expect the customer to select from there directly if he finds it okay, unless he has already some of his formats and he's choosy about it and he wants the same format, and we are open to that as well, right? So this is the format in which this is the right now a sample format in which we have generated the quotation, and this can be a physical print and it can remain in the system, right? So next, go to the next. Yeah. So now we move to the order receipt entry part. So again, here I am not repeating what we have done in past. It is available in list view and orders are here. Orders, sales orders, again, just go to add new to show. I did not, sorry, just, okay. As you can see on your screen, which I explained at the time of quotation entry, identical facility is available here also in the sales order maintenance entry. We call it sales order maintenance menu, sales order receipt entry. Sales order receipt is receiving of customers PO at our end. Here also you can have both the situation, with inquiry reference or without inquiry, with quotation reference or without quotation reference. As we all are aware, in some situations some customers may simply send us a repeat kind of an order, or some of our customers may choose not to use the inquiry and the quotation functionality from our system. They may say that salespeople are moving out, they keep on doing the generating quotations. We would like to do it only from the order entry stage. Fine. For any other reason, if the customer wants to start his transactions from the system, from typically as it is called in ERP, the order to cash, then order entry can be without quotation reference also, or it can be with quotation reference. Needless to say that whatever have been entered previously with reference, the data is available with logical edit facility wherever is logically feasible to do it. So just see here, and just on the right hand side you will also see a remark that the order is still open and no amendment is done yet. When they say open, means not executed, the dispatch has not happened against that. So open and no amendment is done yet. That's what we are trying to say. All the information has come in from the quotation, because this is with quotation reference. So all the quotation information have come in here, and as you can see further, there is a bank information from the customer that can also be fetched from the customer master. Yeah, further we call it ION. Each customer order entry has a unique serial number in the system record, that is we call it ION. So a unique number is generated here. What we are seeing this screen is either on the inquiry or the view mode. So that is why you are seeing the numbers already. So in 1920 financial year for 3572 is the internal order number generated, and this is a regular sales order. As I said during the quotation stage, we also have two more facilities, high sea sales and sale in transit. Obviously those have specific business processes, because in both these cases the material does not come to your premises. So that is how we handle them separately. But in this case, let us go ahead with the sales, regular sales order. Now, as the reality happens in some of the customer cases is that sometimes the PO is not received from the customer end, but the LOI is received and PO may be received later. So we also have separate fields for LOI number, LOI date, and PO number and PO date. And in that case, we allowed the PO number to be entered later. If it was for a specific customer project, then the same can be entered there. Sunil, can you scroll a little up, please? Upper. Yeah, yeah. So uh, this road permit has to be viewed in context with the e-way bill that will be integrated later. This was the old terminology which we have carried forward so far, but it will change. It was that 402 part that was there that we have. Then the customer project specific we can enter. Order reference, if there was any, that can be done. The mode of dispatch, if he has specified something, that you can put it there. And the contact person from the customer side is something that you have to specify if required. Then any agent, again, as I explained during the quotation, it is the same thing, that if there is any agent associated, you can select and you can do that. The item is available here from the quotation reference, because this we have done from the quotation. If there was any price change or quantity change, the same can be done here. You can change the quantity, you can change the price, you can add the item, but in the, if that is provided it was there in the information provided earlier given. The rate structure, if the freight well level changes, if any, were done, or it was quoted as 1,000 rupees freight, and the customer says no, I will not give you 1,000, and you want to change, you can change it here. Of course, it should be in an edit mode, then you can change it, and the same can be saved. So based on the transactions entered for the items, and that the system gives you the information of whether there was any discount entered, what is the value after discount, domestic currency, in domestic currency, what is the value, in foreign currency, what is the value. So because in customer currency, in both these cases, both are INR, so it is shown accordingly. But we have a full exchange rate master in the system, and we will touch upon that when we come to exact specific transactions. So it gives you the information over here. It says here the exchange rate right now is indicated as 1. Now these two are important fields that I would like to highlight in this, that if any bank guarantee is associated with this order execution, or letter of credit is executed, then the same can be selected at the order selection stage. So that, for based on that, there are certain added functionalities which are available, which we will touch upon in future our sessions. So right now you can just have a for your information and understanding that yes, order to order we have the facility of selecting the bank guarantee or the letter of credit facility. Yes, very important. Against a customer order, you can define multiple shipment address, and also the customer from which you receive the order can be different. Customer to which the goods are going to go as a as a shipment can be different, and the bill to can still be different, that the facility that we have provided in the system. So you can say order from, ship to, and bill to. So these are the things that are available as a part of the system. In the shipment master, we also cover the GST related information for the customer that can be made available. What you would may have noticed, I would like to clarify that the data that we have selected for the demonstration or the training is a legacy data, wherein there used to be an excise, there used to be a sales tax. So some of the transactions you may find that why so, but since in order to provide a continuity of the data for the previously entered transactions, we have not removed these fields. That I would like to clarify, so that we need not take this up as one of the queries during the question answer session. And this is true for the entire system, right? Payment schedule can be entered for a specific customer order, which is some advance. If we customer has going to, our customer is going to keep some money as a retention, that can be done. And what is the against delivery, again whatever the terms and conditions associated with the order can be entered. Any other attachments can be done, right? Remarks and notes can be entered here. And this is something through which you can, an internal communication, if any, can be done. We are also this is the future provision where we may ask allow user to enter optional items which are part of scope of supply as a part of this order. So this is something that on the order entry side. And I know we have run over the time by about 10 minutes, but in next 5-7 minutes, I would like to take the last part of our today's session, that is order acknowledgement entry. Now, as I said during the session today, it is not mandatory for our customer users to use inquiry, follow-up, or quotation. That is on their choice, that they may do whether they would like to do it, or they would like to do it for their spares business, and it may not be for their main equipment or machinery business. There are different ways the customers have been using the system, right? But two things are mandatory. One is order entry, and based on order entry, the order acknowledgement. Order acknowledgement is the unique number. As I said, at the time of sales order entry, what we generate is internal order number, ION. That is more an internal document number, a unique serial number which gets generated. But more important is this order acknowledgement. You can say that this is the contract or a clarity of understanding between what the customer has asked and what we have understood. The print of this can also be sent to the customer as an order acceptance or an order acknowledgement print, which can remain as a record. Order acknowledgement form can have two type of prints. One is with value and one is without value. As popularly all of you may would be knowing, many of our customers call it that we have generated a work order when we receive a sales order from the customer or receive a purchase order from the customer. So that work order equivalent, we call it OA, and that will be OA without value, which may go to the production people, which may go to the planning people. It may not have value because they are not, you may not like them to know what is the commercial agreement between the customer and our organization. So that can be served through OF without value, and OF with value if our customer chooses to send it to the customer or keep it for accounts and sales team. That can be a format selection can be done. Now coming to the transaction, the order information is straight away made available here. What I missed to show you in an order entry stage was, I'm sorry, but that is something that a delivery date on which the customer, like I said, the shipment in where he wants the material to be shipped. Similarly, he can also specify that when does he want the deliveries. So that is something that it is customer's desired date of delivery. What we understand and we would like you to understand is that whatever we is entered at the sales order stage is called the desired date of delivery. And what is entered here in an OA is the committed date of delivery. So what is our commitment? So normally when OA is given, we assume that an internal discussions have happened between the respective teams and the committed delivery date. Yeah, move little right. Yeah, or yeah. So as you can see on your screen, these are the two fields which are available. That delivery date and committed delivery date is something. That committed delivery date is something that is our commitment to the customer that can be uh, that will be on the record. And the planning cycle moves based on keeps in mind the committed delivery date that has gone into the OA. Few features of the OA that I would like to brief is that against a customer order that we have received and we have entered them as internal order number, we can have one to many ways, maybe because we may give like to have multiple confirmations to them given on the basis of the confirmations that we get from the internally from our team. This is a feasibility. Normal accepted practice that we have seen during implementation is that people would like to maintain a single OA against a customer order so that that becomes a tracking document or a tracking number between customer and us. And us when I say our customer, and so that becomes the tracking document further for all planning, purchase and related actions and dispatch, or even further when we have the post sales transactions. So this is something that the OA is a significant thing uh, for for us to say that we have received the order from the customer. We have our acknowledgement formally means that we are accepting this order with these terms and conditions. The last thing in this is that yes, if there are any amendments during the execution phase, we do have sales order amendment process again with an authorization and impact will be given in the these are the transact forms that you can see that sales order receipt amendment and sales order amendment print again and amendment comparison. What was previously done that we will touch upon during one of the cycles earlier. And right now, whatever we had decided is something that has we have done. I have taken 15 more minutes of your time. I would like to end my today's session. I sincerely thank all of you for patiently listening to me.